What's up, Stryke team, and welcome back to another episode of Stryke Team Official. And this episode today is going to be a little bit different than episodes I've done previously. So I've actually posted a lot of these videos I've done with Jeffrey Myers out of order. So this is one of the ones I filmed in the beginning. And whilst in the beginning of this episode, we're going to go over some bunkai and some applications. There may actually be some things in there that you've seen before, but the most important part of this video isn't the bunkai, and that's what's most different. The most important part of this video is the natural conversation that kind of formulated as we were going over the techniques. We started talking about the importance of finding the right instructor and how we recognized who that instructor was. And that can be huge. As you go out and you start your martial art journey, especially if you're like me and you end up training with multiple different instructors, you start finding the people that click with you, that work best with you. And what we're gonna talk about is how we found the people that worked best with us and how we were able to recognize those people for the great instructors that they were. And this is something that can be taken to anyone looking to join into like the martial art community or anyone on their martial art journey. The importance of finding an instructor that clicks with you personally is huge. And it's not always about skill. It's not always about how long that guy's been training. It's not always about how experienced of a fighter he is. There are so many other things that are important that we're going to touch on today. So please watch to the second half of the video because it's by far the most important. Even if you want to skip to the second half, it is the main part of this video. So please watch it all the way through. I hope you guys enjoy. Also, feel free to like and subscribe. Okay, share this if you enjoy this video with anyone. I'm really trying to push this channel out there. So as I improve giving out this information, hopefully I'm able to share it to a bigger part of the world. All right, thank you. All right, so we're gonna do an application for, which one do you want first?
We'll do some Nahachi Shodan stuff.
Nahachi Shodan.
Yeah, I'll show a couple things. I kind of put them together in my mind of who I learned from. Some of them were from Ian Abernathy, some of them were from my sensei, Richard Pope. So we'll show you some stuff. Okay, let's go this way. All right, so from the opening of Nahachi Shodan, this is definitely from my sensei, Richard Pope. So he throws a haymaker. You come in here, grab the head, pull the head down, step across with the knee, like the step. So it starts here, that's the head down. This is the knee coming across. So one more time, here, here. Make sure you're up high enough on the head, knee across, coming through. Okay. All right, and then the next part, the out, elbow, in, down punch. I don't know if I'm going to show that all at once, but there's a bunch of different ways that you can do that. So if the punch comes as like a straight punch, then you can go out to the side here. You can elbow to the arm, you can elbow to the head, you can elbow to the ribs. It really just depends how tall you are and where they end up. And then the hands by your side position. This position is pretty fantastic. My favorite thing is the Ian Abernathy quote of where he heard it from someone else, but it's the, I'm hiding my hands with this move. Probably not hiding your hands, just saying. So from that position, it could go from already being here, it could be from them having their arm on you, it could also be off of like a push, but most of the time you're doing this is you're going to be pulling someone in, okay, and using this more like an arm bar. So you're going to get in your stance and use your weight to drop. So I'm going to grab and rotate this way here. And now I have my lower block, all of a sudden, wait a minute, it's a strike to the head, and then I punch across, and then I can still step through after with that one, okay? And then it goes into, if it's the haymaker, then you end up on the inside, okay? So if he throws that haymaker with this hand here, then you go out here, and you get the elbow. And then all of a sudden this coming down comes down to the head, and then you can go out with the elbow. Sorry about the glasses. That was more from a partner drill created by Kiyoshi Edibethe, is that part, when you go into the inside. Another thing I just learned at Jiu-Jitsu with this week, from more of a perspective on that, is from like a collar tie around the neck. So if he has my head here, and then I step out to the side here, I get my arm under, I'm gonna do that same elbow motion, but I'm gonna step out to the side here to get that. And even if he has this arm, you know, that's fine, whatever, I can still get away from that. So I'm gonna step out this way here and get the elbow up there. Okay, and then from this position, I can pull my hand out and punch. So a lot of the time, with the hikite or the pulling hand, you're grabbing their clothes, pulling it in, or their arm, their clothes, their head, something, and pulling it in, right? You don't normally want something without it in your hand. But it can also be, and this is something that I've kind of been figuring out more recently, is it's not a power generation thing. So anyone who thinks that, it's not for power, but you can use it to get away from someone. So like if you noticed on that situation where I just had that position where you had my arm, so from here, and you have the hand around my neck here, and then I get my arm under, I do this elbow to break away, I'm gonna use that karate movement of pulling my arm up to get my arm back. And now I can punch across. And then from here I can go back to the lower and I can go ahead and do that again. So it's a lot of different options just for that part there. So
I didn't know what any of those were, and
it's pretty fun.
that's the first time. You didn't tell me a lot of these before. It's just all kind of.
Yeah.
We have planned like one option, and all of this. Where did this even come from?
It came literally. It all just sort of, it started. I did one webinar with my sensei Richard Pogue and Sensei Noah Legel from Noah's Karate Obsession. Shout out. And then and so I started with that, and then I went to an Abernathy seminar up in Seattle, and then I came back and hosted both of Richard Pogue and Noah Legel, my sensei, and then I just kept learning basically, and I just kept having fun and looking at videos and then actually training. So a lot of people start with YouTube, and YouTube is great. That's why we're making this video as we speak. But YouTube is more of like a starting point. It's more of a place for you to get ideas. But with so much information out there, you kind of want to be careful who you're getting the information from. So what I did was, after seeking out these people and finding them on YouTube, I trained with them, and I paid for them to fly out to my school, or I flew to their seminars, and I got the information from them. And then what the difference is with that is, then when you look at their videos, you really understand where they're coming from, and you understand the philosophy of how this stuff works. And then you get to use your critical thinking, which is very important, and decide, well, maybe I don't like this one so much, and maybe that one works better for me. So just make sure that you're still using your brain.
Yeah. And even though I am obviously a huge fan of YouTube, being that I'm running the channel, I do think it's important to, like I said, go to these people's seminars, because one thing I noticed is I can show a technique and you won't understand it. You're like, oh, that won't work as this. But then when you learn it from the person and they do it on you, and you understand that it does make sense when you actually have someone who's right there, who fully understands the body mechanics and everything. And you can't really get that unless you're with an instructor who really knows what they're doing. So yeah, that was fun. We were supposed to do one application, and you hit me with like 5 or 6 or 7 of them.
So one example of what he just said is, so if you're in that position here and you have their arm here maybe, and you're going to get this real fast because the punches are coming with this hand and you're covering up, and he just maybe keeps throwing them, and you're just trying to get out of the way. If you do that move that I just did there, and you just go ahead and pull their arm in like this, like, he's going to stand up. No, don't make it easy for him. Go ahead and stand up tall. No. If he's just standing up, I'm not going to get this with my arms. Okay, so one of the things in the kata is that you're in your lower stance. And so by dropping my weight, which is again another purpose of stance, okay, I'm not standing in my stance like this waiting for him to kick me between the legs, because that's what some people might think. I'm going back this way, and I'm dropping all my weight with this move here. And that's what's bringing him down. I'm not using my arms. I'm coming from my core and bringing everything down. So those are details sometimes that, as instructors, we get excited, like what just happened now with these techniques, and we kind of forget to explain those little pieces that are kind of like what make the whole technique work.
Also, if anyone can't notice, he's not just pulling my arm. He has me in a wrist lock and an elbow lock at the same time.
I'm rotating it.
So if you're wondering why I'm falling so easily, it's because if I resist too much, I'm going to end up spraining something.
Yeah.
So because he has me both here and here at the same time.
And if they're really strong, from here, and if he can bend his elbow like that, okay, I can't take that anymore. So now I can do a couple different things. I can go back to the opening of the kata where I bring my arm around and bring my hands down here, and then that will now have the shoulder. Or I can go into a shoulder lock from there too. So if I'm here and he's able to bend that arm, then I can bring this around and I can go into this shoulder lock this way, and then I have my knees to the face, which are a lot of the steps, stepping across from the kata, or the second nahanchi nidan, where you lift up your knee this way. So that's another option. Or you can end up going into takedowns from there. So from there, if you're here and he's able to, so I have him here and he's fighting and he's really strong and he gets up and I switch to this. Okay. Another option of something we've been working recently is I can step forward and I can just shuck him forward with this and do a takedown with that. And again, dropping my weight. Another thing that I can do from here, if he bends here, is I can step back and I can do more of that windmill throw and put him right in front of me. Now I still have his arm. Okay, making sure that I have my weight over him. So,
okay. Pause for a second, because I'm going to tell you, I already forgot half of these. That's a lot of information we threw at you at one time. And we may have to come back in other videos and break them down a little bit more for you. That was so much.
Sorry.
But
so, before we started filming, I was over there going, I don't know what I want to do today. Nothing's coming to mind.
It took him 30 minutes to find out 3 things we could do, and now he's got us with so many. But yeah, so obviously as he was breaking down, if one thing you'll often hear when people are showing technique is, oh, well, if he does that, I'll do this. Or if he does this move, I can just do this move. Kata often has a secondary move you can do if the first one doesn't work. If the guy's too strong or he happens to go put his arm in that one position that can reverse the technique, it often has something involved in there that can, a plan B. And so that's another reason you want an instructor like this who can come in and break it all down for you. Is if you don't understand what those are and you're just watching different videos on YouTube, you're not going to get the full package. So if you are in the Concord area, come out, visit the school, Myers Martial Arts. I'll put a link in the bottom. I'm telling you, it's very, very good technique. It's a great place. I love it over here. So definitely come by, check it out if you happen to be in this area. Dude, I have so many questions off what we just did.
Okay.
Sure. Because
yes, and don't be frustrated. Don't be frustrated if you're not getting it right away. I promise the pieces will start to fit together, and then you'll start to see things for yourself. But it does take time. And so really taking the time to learn from other people first will help you to get to your own techniques. I used to get really frustrated, and a lot of people get frustrated that you just can't figure it out, or other people get it faster than you. And so just really being patient and putting in the work and putting in the time, with people that know what they're doing, that are going to be patient, because some people just figure it out. Okay, so I'm going to go on one more little story here, and we may cut it, we may not, but I talk a lot about Michael Jordan and Steve Kerr. So Michael Jordan, obviously one of the best basketball players of all time. As you probably know, some of my younger students now only know him from Space Jam, which is a travesty, but it is what it is. And then there's Steve Kerr, who happened to be on the same team, making 3-pointers, sitting on the bench, working his tail off just to get in the game. And Michael Jordan tried to coach after his career, and not a lot of people know that because it didn't go very well. It didn't last very long because he could just play. And yes, he worked very, very, very hard, but he could just play. He just got it, and it came to him. Versus someone like Steve Kerr, who had to work really, really hard and ride the bench, and now he's one of the best coaches that's out there. So making sure when you choose an instructor that gets you. And a lot of times people get frustrated because their instructor can't explain things. And it's hard to explain things when you can just do it. You don't understand why other people can just do it. So I've had to work very hard over the last, since 2016, over 4 years on this journey of getting to real karate.
So let's focus on this conversation for a second, because this is something that I find extremely important in all the martial arts that I've looked at, and why I picked the coaches and instructors that I do. And so you're pretty much saying that the greatest fighter is often not the best instructor. Mm-hmm. And one thing I always notice is if someone, like you were saying with Michael Jordan, if they pick up the techniques too fast, they can't break it down. Mm-hmm. They don't know how to explain why you can't get it, because to them it's just, well, you just shoot the ball and it goes in.
Right. Yep.
And if they can't explain to you your elbow placement or the way your hand should move in very intricate detail because they just understood it, mm-hmm. Sometimes my best example, Pacquiao and Roach. Mm-hmm. Roach was he was a bad fighter, but he wasn't Pacquiao. No. Okay, but and now he's who he is. You look at oh my gosh, I'm having a brain fart. Wiggle jump. Mm-hmm. Okay, for MMA, not the greatest, in his career, but he trains some of the greatest fighters on the planet, and that's often the thing. A lot of the best trainers in the world were the average fighters because they had to work. Everyone works hard, but they had to learn it in a much more intricate way than someone who just kind of got it. Mm-hmm. So that's really important, like you're saying, when you're going out and you're looking for a school, make sure you know someone who not just is good at doing it themselves, but can do it in such a way where they can break it down and explain it to you in a way that works with you. And nothing that I've noticed is some coaches that are good, they just don't communicate with you well. I hope I don't get in trouble for saying this. One of my main Muay Thai coaches, I am also very close and train at the same gym as his instructor. And obviously his instructor actually has more knowledge than he does. Like, he's a very good instructor. I cannot say anything negative about him. The dude knows Muay Thai. Like, he's a genius. But our communication styles are just different, and so I learn better from a student. And it's not even a matter of who knows more. It's just, or even who's necessarily the better teacher, because he teaches and has amazing fighters that he teaches. It's just like, I communicate better with this guy, and that's it. And so it's not, sometimes you just have to look for that. So these are things to look for when you're looking for a coach or an instructor or a sensei that are really important. And I'm definitely gonna leave this in.
Yeah, and it comes from something else that parents ask a lot. Parents will ask me, what's the best martial art for my child? You know, there's Taekwondo, Kung Fu, Karate, MMA, Jiu-Jitsu, what's the difference? And I always tell them that if you find the place where you like the teacher and your child likes the teacher, then that's the place for you. Especially as a young child, I mean, there is only so much difference between the different martial arts. And yeah, some are a little more striking versus a little more wrestling. But it's really about the teacher and the rapport they have with your kids.
That's solid. That's really good. Yeah. Well, thank you for this. Yeah. And
We got a couple interviews there.
yeah, we just put this up in a couple of videos, and yeah, this is great.
Yep.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
Again, guys, thank you for watching. Please like, please subscribe, please share this video so we can get out to the world and we can keep doing what we're doing here at Strike Team Official. And I'm really looking forward to some of the future videos I have coming up. I have a bunch of instructors that I've talked to that I've lined up ready to spread some knowledge with everybody. So stay tuned and see you soon.